Let's escape the trap that is exclusive mouse usage. To do so, I'll teach you the variety of ways that a keyboard can be used to navigate through an Excel file. Your first thought may be, how can a keyboard possibly navigate faster than a mouse? The keyboard is restricted to up, down, left, and right, while the mouse can select any cell, anywhere, and is constrained only by the speed of your wrist and your clicking ability. You may be surprised then when I tell you that strong Excel users can easily outpace mouse users with their keyboard through the variety of commands that are available. Let's begin by introducing all of the keys that we'll need to use. Obviously, we'll be using the left, right, up, and down arrow keys. Under standard usage, each of these will select the next cell in the direction pressed. Beyond these keys, the Tab, Home, End, Page Up, and Page Down keys perform certain special functions. The Home key can be pressed independently and will immediately select the cell in column A of your current row. For example, since I'm currently in cell AB4, if I press the Home key, I'll be taken to cell A4. The Tab key is somewhat odd. It will shift your selection to the next cell to the right. However, upon pressing Enter to move to the next row, your cursor will return to the column that you started in. This can be very useful for entering data manually. The Page Up and Page Down keys will scroll your cursor exactly as many full rows as are visible. On my screen, every row from 1 to 26 is visible with only part of 27. This means that there are 26 full rows visible. If I select cell C4 and press Page Down, my cursor will be moved down exactly 26 rows and end up in cell C30. The Page Up key works the exact same way except in the upwards direction. These are the single press key options available which most people are familiar with. However, where the real benefits come in are with the combination key presses. Let's start with the End key. On its own, the End key does nothing when pressed. If you press End though, and then add an arrow key afterwards, the cursor will move to the next non-empty cell in the direction specified. Consider the list of ones to the right. I could press the right key quite a few times to get to the end of it, or I can press the End key and then press the right arrow to achieve the same result. Now what about selections? With a mouse, all you have to do is click and drag. With the keyboard, any key combination while holding the Shift button will result in the selection being expanded to include your command. For example, holding Shift down and pressing Home will select everything from the A column to where my cursor is. Similarly, continuing to hold Shift and pressing End and then Up will select the rectangle from A to the top of this section. In this case, the End only takes me up one row as there are blank cells beyond that row. The only time the Shift key does not select is with the Tab key. When used with the Tab key, the cursor moves left a column instead of right. When using the Tab key this way, pressing Enter will not return you to the column from which you started. The Shift key can be used with the Page Up and Page Down keys too, which can be great for selecting large swaths of data up and down. But what about right and left? Well, it's time to introduce the Alt key. Holding the Alt key will generally give an alternative function to many of your keyboard keys. For example, holding Alt and pressing Page Down shifts the worksheet to the right instead of going down. Just as with the up and down scrolling, the scroll is exactly the number of visible columns. Alt plus Page Up will scroll the worksheet back to the left. So far, we've used the Alt, Home, End, arrow keys, Page Up, and Page Down, but what about our Control key? Personally, I'm not fond of the End key. I find it to be a hassle to use quickly and easily, and thankfully, holding the Control key will generate the same result. Holding Control and pressing any arrow key will move you to the end of the current block of data, just as if you had pressed End and then the arrow key. Adding Shift, which is directly above Control, will end up selecting everything along the way. Control with the Home and End keys can be useful as well. Control plus Home will take you to the upper leftmost cell in your movable window. For most worksheets, that is cell A1. However, towards the end of this chapter, I'll identify when that will be different. Control End will take you to the very last row and column combination that is not considered empty. For example, in Sheet 1, I have a number in cell A9 and a number in cell H7. The lowest row that I have data in is row 9, and the farthest column to the right is column H. If I press Control End, I am taken to cell H20, as that is the end of my workbook's active area based on the greatest possible column and the greatest possible row. The Control key is also valuable when used with the Page Up and Page Down keys. Control Page Down will change your active worksheet to the next worksheet to the right of your current worksheet, while Control Page Up will move you back to the left. As you can see, I can move from sheet to sheet without ever touching my mouse. While holding the Shift key, as with all other commands, you will select each of the sheets as you traverse your workbook. With these keyboard commands, it becomes possible to move quickly and accurately across huge swaths of data at a speed only imaginable if strictly using a mouse. But it doesn't eliminate the mouse as a selectively useful tool. The mouse can be utilized with the Control and Shift keys to perform additional actions as well. While holding the Control key, clicking will add only the specific object click to the selection. In this way, you can select non-congruent areas or worksheets. Alternatively, holding the Shift key and clicking will select the entire area between the original point and the newly selected position. Finally, holding the Control key and spinning the mouse wheel will zoom you into and out of your current worksheet. Do you want to get a quick overview of what your workbook looks like? Hold the Control key and spin the mouse wheel backwards to see the whole area. Select the cell you want to zoom into, and then scroll back in. At first, using these keyboard commands can be challenging in comparison to the ease of using a mouse. However, if you stick with them, you'll find that they can significantly enhance your use of Excel by reducing your personal latency and significantly increasing your own throughput. Our next lesson will hit on a few of the more common hotkeys and give you an exercise to help you practice using the keyboard.